Hi everybody, I'm Tim Bulott and welcome to Adventure Backcountry and WeaponsAcademy.com. So it's been a while since we've put a video out, so just to kind of bring you up to date, a couple of factors involved in this inactivity. First of all, we haven't been anywhere, so we've had no expeditions, no road trips or anything of that nature to record. And secondly, as those of you know, I still work full-time for the sheriff's office in my area, and we've just been overwhelmed with work. I mean, I've been extremely busy, and it's kept me away from my hobby, so to speak, and off-roading and Jeep adventures is a hobby. And on a personal note, you know, we've had a loss in the family as well, and that's changed things, okay? Changes life in general, and kind of zaps your motivation all the same. But anyway, just a quick update there. So we're going to slowly start getting back into things. So we've done no road trips. We've done 0 Jeep projects. All of the vehicles are in need of maintenance, and that's a little bit about what we're going to do today, okay? So on this particular episode, we are filming a series about our 1993 Jeep YJ, and we are filming with 1993 video technology just to kind of keep it historical and how it might look in the day. So let's get into it. All right, so the project for today is basically voltage. The other day we were teaching a class out here at Weapons Academy. We had a night session going on, and I was using the YJ for lighting because of the light bars and so forth. And you know, I knew I probably shouldn't have done this going into it, but I let it idle for roughly an hour or so with all the lights illuminated to light the range as we were training. And slowly over the course of that hour, the lights got dimmer and dimmer, and when I finally got back to turning them off, I noticed that my voltage gauge was completely flat, okay, and the battery was just about dead, and the Jeep was barely running, okay. So anyway, we had to tow it back in. I charged the battery. The battery appears to be fine, but you know, it's a good possibility that I fried the alternator on it, okay. If not that, maybe the voltage regulator, I'm not sure. So we're gonna do a little diagnostics on that with our multimeter tool here, our multi-tool and testing tool here, and we're gonna just kind of see what we can come up with. Okay, so I've got my my testing meter here. I hope that you can see that. And what we're going to do first, I've charged this battery up a little bit, and so we're going to just test and see what the battery voltage is. Okay, so we are looking at 12.9. Okay, 12.88, 12.9. Okay, at the battery. So that tells us that, you know, the battery's good. So now what I'm going to do, if I can get an angle in here and not block the meter, I am going to go negative on the battery, and I'm going to come down here on the alternator to the lead that comes out of the alternator, and I'm going to see if I can get a connection here. Get that out of the way. Good, got to get down there and see if we have what kind of voltage we can get there. It's a little rusty, and that could actually be part of the problem itself. Okay, 12.88. Okay, so we've got exactly the same. All right, I got 12.8 at the battery and 12.8 at the alternator. So that tells us that we have continuity. Okay, so the next test is going to be to start the engine, and let's see if the voltage increases. If this alternator works, okay, and this shows to be, looks like it's a 75 amp alternator, my voltage should increase. It should come up around 14, you know. So let's see what that does. Okay, so we've got the motor started, engine running. Let's see what the battery tells us, okay? All right, so if you can see that, 12.39, it's actually drawn some current down, and it's not receiving any help from the alternator. So let's see if we can get to the alternator down here. .38. So there's no current coming out of the alternator. You can see it actually dropping there. Okay, so the alternator is not doing its job. So at this point, I feel like I can say that I've diagnosed that I fried my alternator. All right, so looking at this from the inside, that's what I'm seeing on my voltmeter on my dash. As you can see, I am not getting anything. It's just basically reading what's on that battery there. So that was my first indication that I was in bad shape. Okay, so there's our alternator. You can see our part number and so forth. We do have an AC on this, so that's going to make it a little bit more tricky to get to. But we're going to go ahead and get some tools out here and see if we can get this thing off. Okay, so we've got to get into this area here. We've got to get to the power steering pump. So I'm going to get this air box out of the way. It's got these little spring latches here that hold it down on 3 sides, and then some hoses that need to be removed. Okay, my air intake. Let's go ahead and see if I can lift that up. There we go. Okay, I'm going to get this up and out of the way. All right, there we go. So now we can get down there, and we've got a little bit of room to loosen up the power steering pump, and that'll allow us to get this this fan belt off. Okay, so on this power steering bracket, mine's a little bit different because I've upgraded my manifold, so I had to make some modifications. But I got a 13 millimeter here. I've got one underneath here on the back side, one underneath on the front side, and then I got a T30 right there, which, you know, that's just what I had at the time. So I've loosened those 4 bolts to create enough slack, and then with that I've just slipped the fan belt right off the front of the fan pulley down in this area, and now it's loose enough to where I can get it off the alternator. All right, so I know it's dark in there, but this is the alternator here, and you can see the belt's loose enough there where I can get that off. Okay, so now if you can see the grooves on the pulley, the alternator's free. So I got a couple of 13 millimeter bolts on the top and bottom, one on top, one on bottom, and then I got some 10 millimeters, and I think there's some 7 or 8s on the back side to get all the connections off. So we're going to do that next. All right, so before we get into disconnecting any alternators, wires or anything, I installed these multi-purpose quick disconnect battery cables here. I'm going to go ahead and just cut all power source just so I don't short anything out. Okay, so now the battery is free, and we're going to start taking the power connections off of the alternator. Okay, here you can see this is the space where the alternator was. This is the bottom mount right there. Okay, so that 16 millimeter bolt that we took out the bottom fits into that. And here on the other side, that is the cable that we took off the back. 2 7 millimeters, a 10 millimeter on that cable there, and then on the other side there's a 10 millimeter, and then there's the main power cable. That's a 10 millimeter. So that's pretty much going to show you the space where that is in relationship to, in this case, you got the air conditioning unit there, and back up against the engine block, fan belt, etc. Okay, so now that we've got it out, we can get a better look at with what we're dealing with here. Okay, the top mounting bolt is actually it was a 15 millimeter. Okay, bottom mounting bolt is a 15 millimeter. They're pretty easy to get to. Okay, and then if we look at the back side here, all right, this is where the main power cable connected here. All right, and so forth, and this is our output to the battery through the voltage regulator, of course, and you can see it snapped off. That bolt was just a matter of time before it was going to break anyway. When I went to just one little twist on it, and you can see how rusted it is. So even though I did a dumb thing by letting this thing run like that, it was just a matter of time. So we're getting it fixed. Okay, all right. So then I got 2 10 millimeters here and here. This one secures your bracket, and then these were 7 millimeters there and there. It was a little bit tricky to get to. This one was underneath on the back side against the engine block, so it's a little hard to get to, but then again, just a little bit of patience, and this is a pretty easy removal here. So I hope you got something out of that 1993 YJ alternator removal. We will head to the auto parts store now. I'm going to go ahead and replace this with a 90 amp instead of a 75 amp, and we'll come back at you with another video on the install. Okay, so I appreciate you watching us here on Backcountry Adventure. Y'all take care, subscribe, like, and we'll see you on the next video.